And now, part one with Donald Trump. Great to see you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you for having me. The most important question I have to ask you is, how about my ratings?
Your ratings are fabulous. I just saw you're now the king of late night.
Yes.
I mean, you're beating some very untalented people, to be honest with you, so I'm not so sure how great that is, but they are so bad, and it's about time somebody came in and you're really beating them badly. Great.
I feel kind of guilty about it because I feel like I'm beating up unarmed people.
Well, they're not very talented. You are, so congratulations.
I'm mildly talented. They're just untalented.
Well, and you're very different.
Yes, I am very different. Speaking of, do you remember how much I hated you for that brief period of time?
There was a period of time when you weren't a fan, and then you started noticing that things were getting done.
Yes.
And you said, you know, I may not like them, but look, we have a good economy, we have good military, we have good everything.
Right.
And then you started, and now I think, I don't know if it's love, but it's getting close, and we like it.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's love, but I would say it's admiration.
Well, thank you.
And also admitting that I was wrong because I was focusing on words and not deeds. And now we're at a time where, okay, there are no more mean tweets, and we have a really nice president, and the country is in the crapper. So who would you rather have?
Well, I don't know that he's a nice president. I'm not sure about that. But I can tell you the country has never been more unsafe. We have people pouring in through our southern border, which everyone's forgetting about right now because of the travesty of Afghanistan. And if you look at the people coming in by the hundreds, by the thousands, and these are not the people necessarily that wanted the protection.
Right.
These are people. So are they terrorists? How many terrorists are coming in? And they were aggressive, very aggressive at the plane, and they pushed their ways, you know, their way onto the plane.
Why do you think that Democrats have such a problem with, like, incentivization? Like, If you introduce friction on the border, you reduce immigration.
Yeah.
They don't understand that. What is the problem with that? How can they cannot see that?
I really believe it's gross incompetence. And the only thing good for them about Afghanistan is it makes what they're doing on the border look good, because that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We don't want a wall, we don't want this, we'll just let people come through. It's a disaster. The border's it was the safest border we've ever had, and now it's the worst.
What unites all of them is a lack of process. They do not understand process. We just want order. I want people to come into our country, but I want a line and a gate, people that can walk through.
Yeah, and legally.
And legally.
Nice, legally vetted, strongly vetted.
Yeah.
But when you think that they moved the military out first, think of this, because we had a great plan. You
backwards.
know, even Biden, I think he made a mistake when they did it. They were all screaming at him. But when he said that since President Trump, or he calls it the past administration, signed the deal, not one soldier was shot at or killed. Think of that. You know why? Because they knew the consequences. And our conditions were tough. And then they came in and they just moved out. Who would move out the military first? The military goes last and safely. And sadly, those 13 great soldiers and 200 people, you know, 200 people, more than 200 people were killed, and a lot of people are badly injured, really badly injured. It wouldn't have happened.
Do you think it is better to be feared, right? And that's the difference. They don't fear our president.
Well, I don't know if he just doesn't seem like they know what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a question. I don't even think it's a question of fear. It's a question of respect, and it's a question of being smart. When you hear, I could just see, because I dealt with Abdul.
Right.
Let's call him Abdul, but that's the man.
Yes.
And he's now the head of the Taliban, and he
Right.
was the head of the Taliban when I dealt with him. And I started it off very tough because, you know, you're going to pay tremendous consequences. I don't have to go the level of toughness, but it was bad. And they understood what I said. And there was no way they were going to do anything to us. We could have taken our time. We could have taken a year, 2 years. But to leave $85 billion worth of equipment, for them to fly around Apache helicopters. So this is the greatest war machine outside of the submarine. This is the greatest war machine there is, the Apache.
Right.
They're very, very, you know, tens of millions of dollars. They have 28 of them.
Yes.
That's more than any other country in the world has, except for us.
I can't even get a gun in New York.
Yeah.
If I joined the Taliban, I could have gotten a helicopter.
No problem.
Yes.
In fact, I saw that the other day. We can't have guns, but the Taliban, they can have 27 each.
I could have a helicopter that would get me to the Hamptons and back.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. I thought that's only part one. That's only part of it. But for more, let's get immediate feedback. All right, Tyrus, I know you had some thoughts about the interview. Have your thoughts changed?
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm normally would never do this, man, but wow, man, that was a real no, but it was a conversation, and you didn't change. No, people when they interview presidents change. You didn't kiss his ass.
No.
And I applaud you, and you had a conversation. You even told him I didn't like, because I used to hear him going, this guy, are you kidding? And that was a great conversation.
Thoughts? Cares?
I just kept thinking, I miss that guy. Like, 2 minutes of the two of you and the banter and getting to the heart of the issue as well. Like, yeah, you know what? The president we have in the White House right now, he's doing a horrible job. And he's not nice. Everything that we've been told is actually a lie.
Right.
And because of it, 13 service members are died. Americans are stranded. We've surrendered after a 20-year war. We've lost $83 billion worth of equipment. And the future is probably more bleak than it's ever been for those who remain there, including our allies. He cuts to the heart of the issue. And Abdul, now in power, I love that he always leaves us with these concise points and stuff to talk about for a long time.
And I agree with what Tyra said. You were very yourself, like, the first thing you brought up was, tell me how great I am,
Yes.
which is exactly what it's like to be around you all the time. But yeah, it's true.
Is that really true?
Congratulations on your ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, you did it.
Your ratings.
You did it, Greg.
did
you
all
stood
yourself.
alone. You threw the show on your back, and you by yourself, with no help from anyone. And the fact that interview was in New Jersey, that's what, a 15-minute ride for us? I had some questions.
You know what? I feel like Peter Brady being ganged up on by Greg and Marcia because I lied about something.
No, I thought that it was great. It was kind of fun, even when you were talking about certainly some serious things. It was still fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
good for you.
Thanks.
Great
Good for all of us.
Yes.
Good for all of
No,
us.
no. It's all you.
I'm like,
all you.
that would have been the first time you ever said that.
Yeah, you're not wasting that tonight. No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit.
Yeah, you're
my
gonna
water
waste
and
that till you really
move
need
on.
something.
I prefer it when you guys talk behind my back, not in my face.
When have I ever done that?
We talk about them on the podcast. We never listen. That doesn't count.
All right, we got to move on. Part 2 of our interview later in the show. It gets even better.
And now, the meeting of the minds, part 2.
All right, why should I say a thing? Let's just get to round 2. I want to ask you a question about COVID because you had COVID. And my wife, you met my wife, I don't know, it was like 6 years ago in Mar-a-Lago. She's still not gotten vaccinated. And I keep talking to her to get her to get vaccinated, and she hasn't. What would you say to her?
Well, first of all, I'd say, why is she not doing it? Does she have some kind of religious thing?
No, skeptical. She's skeptical, doesn't trust.
Well, she's Russian.
Yes, she's Russian.
That's the end of that.
Exactly. You can't argue with the Russian.
No. Very smart.
Yeah.
And very hard-headed.
Yes.
I think I know your wife a little bit, right?
Yes.
But she's great, and let her do what she wants to do. I got vaccinated, and I feel very good. I think we saved millions and millions of people worldwide. In 1917, they say almost 100 million, approximately 100 million people died.
Yeah.
I think we could have been into that situation because it was very bad. And now, if you're vaccinated, the other thing it shows that if you do get sick, you don't get sick like they were before, meaning you don't die.
Exactly.
So I would recommend, but I also say that let her have her freedoms. You know the word freedom, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And with you, she needs freedom.
Oh, of course. She needs a lot of freedom from me, I found.
Yeah, right. I think I probably have to agree with that.
Oh, here's a question. I bet no one's ever asked you this. I think I might know the answer. How hard is it being president from a scale to 1 to 10?
Well, I had two forms of presidency. Number one, I had to run the country, work on the world, and do things. And the other thing, I had to survive.
Yeah.
The survival was much tougher because I had fake Mueller people coming after me. I had 19 really haters after me. I had every form of law enforcement after me. It started from the day I came down the escalator. It never stops. I have every prosecutor after me. They're looking at deals that I did years and years ago. I forgot about them. It is a disgrace. So I had to survive, number one. And number two, I had to write, really, you know, I guess I'd put it in a different order. But if you don't survive, you can't do a good job in terms of running. So I had survival and I had running the country.
Right.
And I would say the survival was actually much tougher, running the country. Somebody said, what was the toughest president? A friend of mine, very, very successful guy, used to call me Don, Donnie, Donald. Now he said, Mr. President, you know, you lose all your friends because you're president. They're all afraid to talk to you, okay? Mr. President, could I ask you one question? What's the toughest, who was the toughest to deal with? Was it China? Could it be Putin in Russia? What about North Korea, Kim Jong-un? I said, well, the toughest actually was the United States, dealing with these maniacs that we have over here, with Pelosi and Schumer and all of them. That was probably the toughest, far tougher than a lot of world leaders. And isn't that a shame when you think about it? Isn't it a shame?
Well, there was an irrational response to you, and I mean, I lost friends when I would defend you.
But you also gained friends.
Yeah, you gained friends. I didn't listen to my family members who were voting for you during the time, and I had friends who were voting for you, but I didn't listen. And then when I turned and started listening, then I lost all of my other friends. Did it bother you to see friends that you've had lose these friends because you became president and they didn't like what you were doing, or they became emotionally and irrationally kind of unhinged? Trump delusional.
Sure, right. Trump.
Derangement syndrome.
They call him a lot of things, but derangement syndrome seems, and there is something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. And why would they do that? We rebuilt the military. We took care of everything. We came up, whether you say vaccines or helping people medically, you know, right to try, where they were able to try, somebody dying, and we have drugs that might work and you couldn't use them.
None of that mattered because it was an emotional response.
Taxes, by the way, regulations, the largest tax cut in history, largest regulation cut by far in history, you know, all records.
But why did people respond emotionally to you rather than rationally?
It must be my personality. That's what I can think. I mean, we did a great job. I rebuilt the military.
Yes.
All that beautiful stuff, that brand new stuff. And you know who has it now?
Yeah.
Huh? The Taliban.
Taliban.
I built it for the Taliban.
Exactly.
It wasn't supposed to happen. And now we see these beautiful, perfect, brand new rifles, and these guys are carrying two.
Yes.
And they're wearing our uniforms.
I know.
And they're flying our helicopters. And it's a disgrace.
You know what? We might have converted them because it's like Christmas to them.
Yeah, well, it is Christmas.
It is Christmas.
They're still celebrating.
Yes.
Okay, so I told you about Abdul. So he's
yeah.
tough. And when I first spoke to him by phone, I said, nice to speak to you by phone, Abdul. And he goes, ah. You know, they're ferocious people.
Right.
You know, like you go to Broadway shows, they fight. They like to fight. They've been fighting for about 1,000 years.
I hate Broadway.
By the way, I say that you do. I like it, actually. You know, it's very interesting, and I've been saying it for a long time. Our country, the worst decision ever made was going into the quicksand, which is called the Middle East.
Right.
$2 trillion and millions of lives, because I like to count both sides, okay?
Right.
Millions of lives, and the place has been obliterated. And it's more dangerous now, if you think about it. I had them in check. I wiped out ISIS. You know who I took out? I took out the leaders, the biggest people, bigger than anybody. Nobody even believes what I did. And in a few months, it can all be dissipated.
Yes, all right. Like I said, we're going to milk this interview for all it's worth. We've got more of it tomorrow night, right here on Gutfeld.